Hello everyone. In this video I am going to introduce you to a new concept which I have been working on, which is Agile Point NX for WordPress. As we all know, WordPress is a very famous web hosting platform out there, and as per their claims, more than 25% of the websites over the world are hosted on WordPress. So I found it interesting if we could make use of forms created with, or applications or business applications created with Agile Point to be made available to WordPress as a platform. So I mean, there might be a lot of form builders out there in the market which can be used on WordPress, but ours is not just a form builder. People who are filling up that form can basically integrate that data with a lot of backend systems like an Office 365 or Salesforce, or maybe capture a new lead and enter it into Salesforce and send a mail through Market, or those kind of activities. So what I have done over here is I've got an installation of this is my CloudShare machine, and I've got an installation of for my WordPress over here. I'm pretty new to WordPress, so this is just something I've done. Okay, so if I go to plugins over here, I right now have two plugins, and what I have done is we have written a plugin specific to Agile Point, which will make all these capabilities natively available within WordPress instead of just doing an iframe or pointing to a link, external link. So let's see how that works. So if we go to plugins, and this as you know, plugins can be added only on the installed version of WordPress, which is the majority out there. The WordPress.com does not allow you to install any plugins. So any websites created with the free version of WordPress, mostly those are blogs only, won't be able to use this. But anything like our own company website, agilepoint.com, is built on an installed version of WordPress, and that's what most of those people who extend WordPress would be doing. So if I go to plugin, click on add a new plugin, so it takes me to this page where I'm going to click on upload a plugin. As of now it's my personal plugin, and later on we can even host it. Click on choose a file. I have a plugin called Agile Point NX. I'm going to click on install now. So it says my plugin has been installed successfully. Let's go ahead and activate my plugin. So as you can see, now my plugin is over here. I can put a short description over here and by Agile Pointing. Now what you can see is immediately as soon as my plugin was installed, there are three new icons which started showing up in the admin menu of WordPress. One is to define new forms. One is if I wanted to, now this would be rare, but somebody wants to even put a task list web part in his WordPress site, we have kept provision for that. Somebody wants to put the Agile Point Enterprise Manager in a WordPress site, we have kept provision for that as well. These are optional components. Of course, most of the people would be using the forms aspect of it, and instead of calling it processes, I just called it forms, because from a WordPress user's perspective, it is only one single form. They don't care whether there is a whole process behind it or not. Now we can always rebrand it. So let's go ahead and start defining a couple of these menus. So let's first add a task list web path. So I'm going to go here. At this point of time, let me delete what I have, and let's say trash. Okay, so I'm going to start fresh. I'm on this one, so I'm going to say add a new page. So it would ask me for a CDN URL. This is available for all. So as you know from the Salesforce concept as well, that everything now can work on a CDN URL, where I don't have to package the whole source code to be in each of these individual apps. I can host it in one single place, and all these apps like Salesforce, Office 365, WordPress can dynamically download the content from there. So I don't have to share the source code with all these apps. I just have to have one single HTML in most of these apps. So I'm going to copy the CDN URL. It would ask me what Agile Point server do you want to connect to. This is what you will get from your subscription information. So I'm going to copy that over. What's the width So I'm going, default is 100% page width. What's the height? I'm going to say 800 pixels. What is the user you would use to connect back to Agile Point? So I'm going to say use my, I can create a service account in Agile Point and do that. So I'm going to enter my information. Now I can enter the user's full name, culture. I can define what language I want to show these things in. I'm going to go with default, which is English in my case, and I'm done. So I'm going to go ahead and click publish. So as you can see, I forgot to enter the title over here. So let me say Agile Point Dashboard. Okay. And as you can see, let's republish this. As you can see, I have a link over here. I could give it a more user-friendly name as well, which I'll do when I'm creating the menu. So you can see with a whole WordPress theme itself, my web part is rendering within WordPress. So it took the whole header and footer from WordPress, and in between, based on my width and height, it did render my task list web part. Now let's do the same for Manage Center real quick. So if I go to Manage Center, again I had created one before running the demo, so I'm going to delete that and say add new. I'm going to give it a name, Manage Center. I'm going to give a CDN URL. Server instance URL. Just properties where what information it should use to connect back to Agile Point. So I'll say 1000 pixels for example. And my connection information. Now different pages can connect to different subscriptions. That's absolutely fine as well. I'm again going to leave it as default. If I was creating a Chinese site, I could have selected Chinese over here. And let's try this link out. Okay. You can see the Manage Center is opening now. You can see my Enterprise Manager opens up. I can do things like search a process. Let's do the main part, which is defining applications. Now this is the part which is more interesting to most of the users. I'm going to again delete whatever I had added in past and add it fresh. I'm going to add a new form. I'm going to give server URL. Let's give it a name. Say customer onboarding. Okay, so I have a server URL, my CDN URL. So they just need to know a couple of properties. Okay. Now I could have called it process name, but from an end user perspective, it is just a form. That's why the label has been called form name. We can always change it to process name or app name if we wanted. This would be the application name which is there in Agile Point, or the process model name which is there in Agile Point. Again, I can give it a height of say 1000. Click publish. Let's try this out. So again, all rendering within the theme of my whatever WordPress theme I have selected. And as you can see, my form did come up, and if this is the same form which we have been building uh, for for our Forester demo. I had some CSS issue going on, but you can see the whole data coming back. You can go to order management, and it does bring up all the data from Salesforce, all that kind of stuff. Let's do one more form. So I'm going to say add a new form, and this would be my, so these can be different menu options, right, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So I'm going to put my CDN URL, which I'll have to copy from here. So my CDN URL is this. My server instance URL is I'm going over a CloudShare machine, that's why tabbing out to a different tab is taking a little bit more time. Okay, so this time I'll open Great Forms. Let's copy it again. So let's say 600 pixel. Let's enter all the information over here. Let's give this a name as well. I'll just call it invoice processing. Click publish. Let's try this one out. So the same invoice processing demo which we show from John Smith account. So the same invoice processing demo which we show in the John Smith account with the box.com integration, that all starts showing up, right? So once we are done with this, let's go ahead and create a menu. So if I go back to my Salesforce, WordPress homepage, currently it looks like something like this. I just have a sample page in the menu, right? This all would make sense once I have a menu. So I'll go to menu. So let's go ahead and create a menu. Okay, so my menu, and now I will just go ahead and add these pages under that menu. So let's go ahead and create a new menu for my apps. Okay, now let's create the menu again. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a menu to expose all these links. So I'm going to go to appearance, menus. That's one of those WordPress things. So you'll go ahead and say I want to add a top level menu. I'm going to just add a top level menu called say my apps. So while I have not saved this, you'll see that the menu right now just shows me the sample page, right? So I'm going to define my own menu and I'm going to add the 4 pages which I had created. So first one would be invoice processing over here. So I'm going to put a link of invoice processing, give it a menu name. Next one would be I'll add the second application which is customer onboarding. So as you can see now I can add multiple applications and expose to my WordPress site. So might be client feedback, new client contact, all that kind of thing, right? Customer onboarding. Going to quickly add the manage center and work center as well. These are optional, of course. So let's see. Let's call it Agile Point Dashboard. And the last one would be Manage Center. What I'm going to also do is I'm going to indent these menus. So I'm going to say that these would appear under my apps. And a little bit of a slow internet connection, so let me just carefully drag and drop this. Okay. Okay. So once this is done, I'm going to say create menu. And this should appear in the primary menu. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And now if I refresh my home page over here, you see my apps menu has started showing up, and if I click on any of these links, they start bringing up the form based applications which I had created in Agile Point. It appears as if it was part of WordPress. It is native WordPress thing. I can get the whole business process, the complex business process functionality right within WordPress itself. So my invoice processing opens over here, my customer, so you can see over here, if I click on customer onboarding, that appears, customer onboarding appears. Same for Agile Point dashboard. It appears like I can do all the dashboard operations which you associate with Agile Point, which is like things like view process or open task. So hopefully that gives you an idea. Thank you for your time.